Sweet Science Sports.
It's the sweet one.
What's up, folks? This is Sweet Science Sports and McDojos with your boy, BG Aloysius. You're part of the sweetest sports channel of them all. I promise you that. Point blank, period, man. How y'all doing today? Today, you know how we do it. I got my Sweet Science tea, but this time with a little twist of Bacardi. Alright, today I'm going to be going over this story titled Ranking the 10 Strangest Boxers in History. This article was written by Robert Aaron Contreras. Alright, haven't read this article yet, so it's kind of well, it's going to be a reaction and everything. So, but anyway, before I get into this 10 strangest boxers in history, I want to say that the activity on the McDojo site has been picking up. I've been getting tons of comments. So if I haven't got to answer your comment yet, I'm getting there. I just got an influx of McDojo shit. You know what I'm saying? I got to understand. I got two sides. I got the boxing side. I got McDojo martial arts side. So the McDojo martial arts side is picking up again. Having a, hitting that high curve. You know what I'm saying? Doing all right. So I still have to pay attention to that part. But anyway, let's get into the 10 most strangest boxers in history. Alright? Sweet Science tea. Herbal tea, that is. Alright, number 10 is Mysterious Billy Smith. Alright, Mysterious Billy Smith. They did call him Mysterious after all. Mysterious Billy Smith was a Canadian boxer who fought over 80 times. He won the welterweight championship of the world in 1898 and defeated some good fighters throughout his career, including George Kid Levine, young Peter Jackson, and Hall of Famer Barbados Joe Walcott. Alright, and he beat Walcott, that's okay. But Smith isn't remembered for necessarily his wins inside of the ring, but rather for how he fought. Alright, so he has been dubbed the dirtiest fighter of all time. Woo! The dirtiest player in the game. He's the dirtiest fighter of all time, as he would do anything the referee was prepared to let him get away with. Sound like a lot of boxers today. From elbows to eye gouging, with a few wrestling tactics sprinkled in here and there, Smith was disqualified 10 times, according to Herbert G. Goldman's Boxing, a worldwide record of bouts and boxers, on page 1487. Alright, contrary to popular belief, Smith has not been disqualified more than any other fighter. Alright, that honor or dishonor goes to Arnold Shepard, who was met with a DQ, lost 18 times. Maybe Smith wasn't as mean as we thought. Alright, only the most resilient man fought Smith. He was the gatekeeper between obscurity and the glory for the welterweight and middleweight divisions during the early 1900s. Alright, so they also said, and he would be making a few more appearances throughout this list, proving maybe, just maybe, the era Smith fought was the strangest of them all. Alright, we got is a cheater. Alright, number 9, Jacob Matlada. Matt Lauder. Jacob Matlada. Alright, Jacob Baby Jake Matlada was a South African boxer born and raised in the Gauteng province. He's a veteran of 68 fights and holds the distinction of being the shortest champion in boxing history. Matlada stood at 4 foot 10 inches, but still managed to make a name for himself at 108 pounds, as he was a top 10 flyweight for the second half of the 90s. Not bad for a man who was towered over by his opponents, even in one of the sport's smallest weight classes. That's pretty strange. 4 foot 10, man, that's like the height of my grandma. Rest in peace. Woo, that is kind of, I don't know, 14. Boy, I'm trying to tell you. I'm 5'8", and I think I'm kind of short. Imagine being 4'10". All right. Number 8, Nikolay Valuev. I guess that's how you say it. All right. From the shortest man to the tallest man on this list, they call Nikolay Valuev the Russian giant. But that just doesn't suffice. He's more like the Russian experiment gone terribly, terribly wrong. His hobbies include, but are not limited to, coloring, playing hopscotch, fishing, and deer hunting, ducks, and wild boar with his bare hands. Okay. This dude is making jokes on here. Okay, none of that is true. Well, the hunting and fishing part is, he just doesn't do it with his bare hands. But you believe me if I told you he did. I did at first. But anyway, Valuev is big, like really, really big. He stands at a staggering 7 feet tall, and some sources list him as even taller than that. He has made his professional debut way back in 1993 and weighed in at 312 pounds. He's killing over here. And he has never weighed any less than that for the rest of his career. In late 2005, Valuev defeated John Ruiz by a controversial majority decision to win the WBA heavyweight championship, becoming the tallest and heaviest champion in boxing history, and that is good for him. That's what's up. Alright, let's go to number 7, Lynn Wickwar. Pugilism. Pugilism, or prize fighting, has been around for centuries. If you are reading this article, you are probably more accustomed to most. You're probably more accustomed than most to seeing two homicidal combatants punch each other until one goes down. But what if boxing did not exist? All right. What if there was no sport? There was no governing bodies. How would you perceive these men? You'd sneer at such barbarism, would you? You'd find the concept of getting punched in the face for a living outright bizarre. You think these men were criminally insane. Sorry, man. A little bit of the juice with the twist. And that's just why Lynn Wickwar makes this list. Because in a sport built on crazy men, Wickwar is by far the craziest. From 1928 to 1947, Wickwar fought no less than 468 times. Alright, 468 times. Let that number sink in. 468 times. From 1928 to 1947. Almost 20 years, right? Alright. That's over 400 fights, almost 4,000 rounds, at least 1 million traded punches. What would possess a man to put his body through so much punishment? Who knows? And that's the beauty behind it. That's a lot of fights, man. God dog, boy. A lot of fights. 468 times in 20 years, man. People don't even fight 50 fights in that amount of time these damn days. Shit. Alright. It's number 6. Neil Tarleton. Alright. What if I told you Neil Tarleton was a great fighter? What if I told you Tarleton fought for the world featherweight title twice, losing 2 close 15-round bouts with Hall of Famer Freddie Miller? Excuse me. What if I told you Tarleton fought 148 times and was never knocked out? Now, what if I told you he did all this with but one functioning lung? Whoa. So he's saying that this guy fought 148 times and never knocked out and only had one functioning lung. Not only is that strange, but that is magnificent. One lung working. One lung. 148 fights. Tarleton was a long and skinny fighter. He contracted tuberculosis when he was 2 years old and never weighed more than 140 pounds in his life. He was weak and often roughed up as a child until a bully, of all people, invited him down to the Everton Red Triangle Boxing Club. He immediately fell in love with the sport. All right, over the course of his 19-year career, he won the featherweight titles of Britain, and was one of the very best featherweights of the 1930s. The Liverpool native stepped into the ring with Hall of Famers Panama Al Brown, fighting him to a draw, and the aforementioned Freddie Miller twice. Tarleton utilized his grangly body to outbox a considerable number of excellent fighters, notably Johnny King 2 times, Al Phillips, Tom Smith, Johnny Kuzik, Jim Spider Kelly, Jimmy Walsh, Dave Crowley, August Guide, Douglas Parker 3 times, Benny Sharkley, Al Foreman, Archie Bell, Jack Kirby, Alf Kidd, Pentenden, and the long forgotten all-time greats Seaman Tommy Watson and Johnny Cuthbert. Alright, yeah, that's amazing to do all that shit with one lung, man. That is absolutely amazing, man. Absolutely amazing. Number 5, Gypsy Joe Harris. I heard of him before. Gypsy Joe Harris was one of boxing's most colorful characters and maybe the sport's most awkward practitioner. But to call him just awkward is a huge understatement. He was innovative, peculiar, and extremely talented. So talented and intuitive, in fact, that Harris fought his entire career with one eye and suffered just one loss, that being to the legendary Emil Griffith. Wow, this dude fought his whole entire career with one eye and just had one loss. And you know, just having, like, if you cover one of your eyes, your vision is part of your vision is hindered and stuff. So that got to be that's amazing. That's absolutely amazing. All right, let's continue on now. And his partial blindness, he was partially blind, and his partial blindness is just what inspired his awkward style, as he, no matter the angle, needed to keep his left eye, his good eye, on his opponent. Handicapped but not beaten, Harris utilized quick feet and rapid reflexes and very unorthodox defense tactics to reach the pinnacle of the sport. Harris never fought the same fight twice. Opponents and fans never knew what he might do next. No game plan was his game plan. Alright. And the accumulation of his style and flair reached its finest hour on March 31st, 1967. Alright. Harris squared off with welterweight champion Curtis Coates at Madison Square Garden. It was a non-title fight, which would prove most unfortunate for Harris, as he completely befuddled the champion, winning a unanimous decision victory over 10 fucking rounds. This dude, I know he's so I know he was mad, man. I ought to be mad. I beat the champion, but I didn't get the belt, man. That's crazy. Yeah, but anyway, let's go on. The reports of the fight called Harris many things: an oddball, brawny, and unorthodox, and even a clown. But they also praised him for his quickness and masterful performance against the best welterweight in the world. Harris' whirling and wheeling tactics led the defeated Coates to say, "Harris don't have his style. He just stands there and acts the monkey." I gotta do it like a monkey. Anyway, a step ahead of his opponents, he was good enough to reel off 24 consecutive wins to begin his career. But that's where the good times stopped for Harris. Alright. After a pre-fight physical in October of 1968, Harris' license was revoked because of the discovery of his eye impairment, and with that he was forced out of the sport he loved, and every hope he ever had of being a world champion was snatched away. Harris would spend the remainder of his life lost in drugs and alcohol and heart failure. That's a sad story. And that made me sad right quick, man. Hold on, man. Let me take a moment of silence right quick, man. That's sad, man. This man had one eye. You know what I'm saying? He winning and stuff, man. He even beat the champion in a non-title fight, man. Some crazy shit, man. Some crazy shit. Damn. I just got real sad all that shit, for real. No cap. Let's go to number 4 now, man. Number 4 is Eugene Kricki. Kricki. It's Criqui. Alright, anyway. Many a man throughout history has been celebrated for his unimaginable ability to take a punch from the bums like Joe Grimm, a middleweight from the turn of the 20th century who could take copious amounts of punishment without going to sleep. Best exhibited by the 6-round drumming he took from the colossal Jack Johnson, a fight in which Grimm was knocked down over 12 times but never went out. To boxing's most polarizing figures like Marvin Hagler, these men were born with a knack to take a punch, possessing what has been dubbed a granite motherfucking chin. But there's only one iron chin in history. Eugene Criqui, the fabulous featherweight from France, had it. Interrupting his boxing career in 1915, Criqui was called to serve in the French military in World War I, and while on guard duty, a portion of his jaw was shattered by a German sniper's bullet. Luckily, surgeons was able to reconstruct his jaw using wire and silver plates. He couldn't even speak for several months. When Criqui, whatever the damn name is, returned to boxing in 1917, he had already accumulated a 42-9-13 record fighting through France's flyweight division. At this point, he recorded just 12 knockouts to his name. But now returning to the ring as a featherweight and standing just 5'5", he would win 55-44 by KO of his next 58 fights, which is magnificent. The spectacular streak included winning the French, the European, and World Featherweights title while putting together one of the most underrated collections of knockouts ever. Lighting up noteworthy featherweights Jackie Green, Joe Fox, Bert Spargo, Sid Godfrey, Diego Cabanella, probably fucked that name up, Charles Ledux, Ben Callicott 2 times, Arthur Wines, and Hall of Famer Johnny Kelbein. Criqui would retire in 1926 with an incredible record of 99-17-14. He overcame a horrendous injury and managed to become the very best featherweight in the world. Alright, he is, as the French call him, Eugene Roux du KO, Eugene the KO King. Let's see, that's an excellent story. Number three, Emmanuel Augustus, aka the Drunken Master. Alright, what can you really say about Emmanuel Augustus? He was a journeyman extraordinaire, kind of like Christian Light. His record is deceiving. His talent is hard to gauge, and at times, for just a few seconds, the reflexes and instinctive moves he makes seems otherworldly. If you've never seen him fight, please stop listening to this and watch the YouTube video attached. Well, it's not attached to this video, but matter of fact, I'll share that YouTube video in the link if I can remember. Alright, there's a video called on YouTube called "His Style Really Goes Where Words Cannot." For years, Augustus was a staple on ESPN2's boxing broadcast. He fought anybody and everybody who would have him, short notice or not. He stepped, or rather danced his way into the ring with the likes of Ivan Robinson and Floyd Mayweather Jr. Mayweather has often stated that Augustus was one of, if not the toughest fights of his career. He was tough, but no matter his spectacular shifts and shimmies, Augustus was never going to be a great fighter because he was robbed out of plenty of wins he probably deserved. Most notable of which would be his losses to Courtney Burton and Mickey Ward. You know what? I did a video on journeyman and shit like that, man, and a lot of them can beat these top people. A lot of them can, for real. Alright, number 2, Norman Selby, aka the real Kid McCoy. Alright, number 2. Alright, Norman Selby, better known as Kid McCoy, was controversial in and out of the ring, and frankly, I doubt he would have had it any other way. From his invention of the corkscrew punch, a punch that added a twist to the moment of impact, which made for an excellent way to slice and open up opponent's face. My dad told me about that punch right there. To his, oh shit, to his 10 marriages to 8 different women, conviction of manslaughter, and eventual suicide, Kid McCoy believed if you weren't living a life full of scams, swindles, crime, and bamboozles, you weren't really living. His tricks and ploys inside the ring are notorious. Well, that got kind of dark, didn't it? Real quick. Got dark real quick. Alright, God dog. Amongst them was applying powder to his face in an effort to deceive his opponent to believe he had come down with an illness. Throwing tacks on the floor against a barefooted fighter, taking part in a fixed fight or two, as he supposedly did against James Corbett in 1898, and even stopping in the middle of a fight to convince his opponent to check out the pretty lady in the front row. And when this worked, the distracted opposition was met with a McCoy right hand. Hold on. Oh man, dirty man. He ought to be dirty player of the game, boy. What you talking about? Alright, but sifting through the mess, through the cheats and hoodwinks, McCoy was one hell of a fighter. From welterweight to heavyweight, he defeated a slew of legendary opponents. That's pretty great to go from welterweight to heavyweight, defeating a lot of people. McCoy's first shot at glory came in 1896 against one of the greatest fighters of all time, Tommy Ryan. Ryan's career and level of consistency is often grossly overlooked. This is a man that lost just twice in his first 105 fights. He lost just twice, Tommy Ryan, in his first 105 fights. Alright. One of those losses came by disqualification against one George Green, a fight that Ryan would avenge 3 months later by the way of 7-round knockout, and that's how you do your shit. When you lose, you avenge your shit big time. His only real loss during this amazing stretch was to McCoy, which was also the only knockout defeat of Ryan's entire career. McCoy also defeated Mysterious Billy Smith, Tommy West, Jack Bonner 2 times, Jim Daly, Dick Moore, George LeBlanc, Dan Creedon 2 times, Gus Rowland, Jack Twin Sullivan, Joe Korninsky, and Peter Mahar twice. Alright. He had his last fight in 1916, capping off a truly phenomenal career, but you had to even be crazier than he was if you didn't expect McCoy to outdo it with his post-fighting life. McCoy lived in the high life for a while. He moved to California, appeared in some films, and even became friends with Charlie Chaplin. But his success in the movie industry didn't last long. He was poor and addicted to alcohol by the early 1920s. Then he met Teresa Morse. Morse was a wealthy woman, and a married one as well. Because of a single, modest lady just isn't McCoy's cup of tea. A single modest lady isn't his cup of tea. That's what the two became romantically involved, and Morse even divorced her husband. But in 1924, Morse was shot dead in the apartment she and McCoy had come to share. McCoy was charged with her murder, but swore she committed suicide. The murder charges was eventually acquitted, and McCoy was convicted of manslaughter and sentenced to 24 years in prison. He served 7 before being released on parole, and 8 years later, McCoy would take his own life. Dark. At the Hotel Tuller in Detroit, in a selection of hauntingly moving and tragically beautiful words in the "We're all living the same miserable life" kind of way, McCoy left the world his final words. To all my dear friends, best of luck. I'm sorry I could not endure this world's madness. Signed, Norman Shelby. Well, that's some sad shit, man. Nobody want to hear that. Nah, dog. All right, let's get to number 1. Let's get to number 1. Bum, 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 bum. My bad, cat. Did I wake you up? Don't be mad at me. Number 1. The Barbados Demon, Joe Walcott. Alright? And we're not talking about Jersey Joe. Alright? The original Joe Walcott, not Jersey Joe. Terrorized his opponents every bit the way his nickname would suggest. They call him the Barbados Demon, and this was not without reason. Excuse me. Excuse me again. I'm sorry. He was a pocket monster with incredible power in his hands. Woo! Bam, 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 doom, 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 doom. Over his 166 fight career, Walcott stepped into the ring with the fearsome Sam Langford, Hall of Fame heavyweight and lightweights, Philadelphia Jack O'Brien and Joe Kronowski, World Light Heavyweight Champion George Gardner, and Colored. What? Oh, I'm so yeah. This is back in the day. Colored Heavyweight Champion Frank Chow, because they tried to keep black people away from the white belts, I guess. So they had a colored champion, a Negro champion. They also had a white champion, but the Negro champion would never get to fight the white champion. That's how it was. All right. So after that, let's see. All right. Yeah, Frank Chow, colored champion. I don't really like that. All right. Anyway. And Wilcott only stood a meager 5'1" and 1/2 inches. He was strange and hard to comprehend. Anyway you cook it, the way he looked, the way he fought, and just how great he ended up being. Being so short and yet able to weigh in as a welterweight, Walcott's physique was made up of unbelievable muscularity. According to the National Police Gazette, October 27, 1894, via research done by Monty D. Cox, Walcott's neck was abnormal, 18 inches, and his chest expanded to 41 inches. Alright, Nate Flesher said it best, calling Walcott a sawed-off Hercules. Sawed-off Hercules. The Barbados Demon seemed to be chiseled out of cold rock and looked absolutely terrifying. Now imagine such a man in the ring fighting against towering heavyweights. You got a 5'1" man fighting against heavyweights. Walcott was a swarmer through and through, and he fought in the pocket. He was said to take leaping hooks at his opponents, springing into the air just to reach him. This really must have been a sight to behold, and couldn't have been too far off from the Yoda and Coconut Dooku showdown in Star Wars Episode 3, which I didn't see Revenge of the Sith. I didn't see that shit. Alright. Minus the lightsabers, of course. But where the line between fiction and reality, genius and insanity really gets drawn is how inconceivable the success was that Walcott found in that very ring. So utterly strange, and as the definition stated, hard to understand. Is Walcott at under 5'2", just 2 inches taller than Jacob Malata, or Matt Lala, whatever, with a reach of just 65 inches, 3 inches shorter than featherweight Eugene Quickie. He managed to defeat Tommy West, Dan Creedon, the Dirty Welterweight Champion, Mysterious Billy Smith 3 times, Jack Bonner, in which he was outweighed by 17 pounds, Joe Grimm, Young Peter Jackson, Rube Ferns, knocked out Joe Kronowski, held his own and earned draws with world beaters Sam Langford and Joe Gaines, and held the welterweight championship for 3 years. He compiled an astonishing record that features 104 wins to 32 losses, 15 of those losses coming after Walcott's freak gun injury that left his right hand severely they used to get down back in the day. Left his hand severely disfigured. He would never be the same fighter again. But in his prime, Walcott was a demon, a violent presence trapped in a child's body, full of rage and hate for humanity. He took his aggression out on the men unfortunate enough to step into the ring with him. His violence and greatness knew no bounds. Never intimidated, Walcott even issued a challenge to none other than James Jeffrey, the heavyweight champion of the world. Jeffrey's decline, and that, my friends, is as strange as it gets. Alright? This is BG Aloysius, Sweet Sports. I said Sweet Sports. Sweet Science Sports and McDojos, the sweetest sports channel of them all. You better believe that. Point blank, period. And I want y'all to do one thing for me. Y'all keep banging. Peace. Ding ding, motherfuckers.